Welcome to our podcast, Parenting by the Pint. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, Minivan Mafia. Lauren and I are longtime friends from Chicagoland that love getting together to chat about life, kids, family, and beer.
Each week, we'll feature a brewery and sample at least 2 of their beers.
We'll also discuss a variety of topics ranging from parenting, pop culture, travel, marriage, and just about anything else that comes to mind. Welcome, everybody. Here we go with another fun-filled episode.
Yay.
And and this is gonna be a fun one because we're gonna keep it light, and we're gonna talk some American beer history too.
Yeah, true.
Because I think what we're gonna feature this brewery tonight is arguably very important in the world of craft beer in the US. And I'm excited. It's not a brewery that I drink a lot of, and
same.
I'll explain why.
Totally same. Yeah.
I'll explain why as we get to it. But why don't you tell us a little bit about our brewery, which is actually Boston Beer Company, although all their labels and everything say Sam Adams.
Says Sam Adams, but it is really the Boston Beer Company, out of Boston, Mass. Actually out of Boston, Mass, Cincy, and Pennsylvania. They actually brew a lot of their current beer in Cincinnati, but they started in Massachusetts. So, and it technically was co-founded in 1984, with the brewery actually opening in 1989. So, so lots of history. Definitely one of the older beer companies in the US, and honestly one of the few that's still considered a craft beer company, considering a lot of the other ones that started around the same time as them have been bought by large conglomerates now. So they are still owned. They're public. They went public in 95, but they are still owned by a group of people and still truly considered to be I think they're technically the second largest craft brewery in the US right now after Yuengling. So in terms of by volume. So they obviously can't compete with the, AB, InBev, large giant companies, but I think they still say Independent Craft Brewer Association on their bottles. So they are the second largest of that designation in the US right now.
Cool. Yeah.
So we're gonna drink some Boston Lager to start, which is
of course
technically Sam Adams. That was the first beer that they brewed. So let's open this up, and we can talk a little more about Boston Beer Company. Distinctively complex and balanced is what they tell me this is. It's been a long time since I've had a Sam Adams.
I can't remember the last time I had a Sam Adams, and I would guess that it's most likely because even though it is widely available in the Midwest, there are so many other breweries that are in the same level, if you will, like Goose Island, for example, where it's everywhere, where like if you go to a restaurant, and
any restaurant around here literally
is limited, they might have Sam Adams on tap, but they're probably also going to have 312, or they're going to have something of that caliber, and I probably default to 312 before I drink Boston Lager.
And I mean, I also generally, a lager isn't my first go-to, so that's also something else, is that's generally not my go-to beer style. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's a good lager. I mean, I'm drinking it now, so
as am I.
It's as I remember. It's a little more bite than a lot of other lagers that I've had. So it's got a good flavor to it if you actually like the taste of it.
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of repeat basically what you said. And I would say that in the scheme of things, for what you are expecting, it has a little more heft. It's a little heavier. Heavy is not exactly the right word.
It's a little more
It's got some
flavorful.
flavor. Yeah, it's got
Mm-hmm.
some flavor to it, which is pleasant. And I think that when it comes to a flagship, this is a great flagship beer.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is what, this is something you can make over and over again, consistently make well, and people will universally enjoy it if they're the average beer drinker.
Yes,
and I think that this does that very well.
Yeah, and as a lager, I feel like if you like beer as opposed to drinking some of the like North American domestic typical lighter lagers, this one has a real beer flavor to it. So
absolutely,
you're getting more of that. Interestingly enough, so all right, let me give you a little bit of Boston Beer Company history here.
Please.
So it was started by Jim Cook in Cambridge, Mass, which is because it literally started out of his house, out of his kitchen. But he came from a long line of brewers. I think he was like fifth or sixth generation brewers, at least home brewers. And this recipe for the original Sam Adams Boston Lager came actually from it was made in Jim's kitchen in 1984, and it came from an old 1860, sorry, I was going to say 1860 family recipe of his great-great-grandfathers. So they dusted it off from the attic and pulled it out, and that was what they started with. So this is an old family recipe. It debuted in Boston's Patriots Day in 1985 and actually won a Great American Beer Fest Best Beer Award that same year.
Wow.
So it's been highly regarded ever since it came out. They named it after Samuel Adams, the founding fathers of the United States, Samuel Adams, who some historians claim was actually a brewer.
Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting. I was thinking about what you said about it winning an award at the Great American Beer Festival. I bet you it was a lot easier to win awards then. So I could have made a beer.
So many less entrants, I'm sure.
Yeah, so. I can't imagine. I mean, imagine what it must take to win now.
Now, oh my gosh, you've got to be amazing. I mean, not that this isn't good, and I'm sure it was great in 1985, but in 2022, it's a whole different ball game.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So that was their first beer that they brewed. Him and Rhonda Coleman, she worked with him. She was his secretary at his job prior to starting Boston Beer Company. Jim actually went to Harvard. He got a bachelor's degree and his MBA from Harvard, and then worked for a consulting company before he decided to open a brewery. And she was his secretary, who was working nights bartending, and they wound up opening Boston Beer Company. Like I said, 1984 they started. 1989 the brewery actually opened, and they went public in 1995. Rhonda no longer is part of the company, but she was for about 15 years. She left in 2000, and she was actually recognized as a pioneering woman in the beer industry for her impact and innovation in the industry. She stayed in the alcohol industry. She opened a brewery after Boston Beer Company, and then she actually, I believe, works or opened a distillery. But she's lived in the Boston area and still does, and still is in the industry, just not with Boston Beer Co. But so they went public in 1995. They've since opened another location, like I said, in Cincinnati, where they actually brew most of their beer. Also a location in Pennsylvania, and they still have a location in Boston. So when they did move to when they opened the brewery back in 88, 89, they were excited because 8 people showed up to their first brewery tour. Since then, I'm sure
seems like a lot.
hundreds of thousands probably have come through those doors. There's a place called Doyle's Cafe, which was a Irish pub that had opened in 1882 in Boston, and that was the first bar to have Sam Adams on draft.
Wow.
They
That's pretty cool.
unfortunately since closed after 137 years in business during
Oof.
COVID.
Oof.
Yeah.
That
So,
is brutal.
right? Yeah,
I
it's
am so
sad.
sorry to hear that.
Totally
That's
sad.
terrible.
Yeah. So yeah, so they've been around for a while. Like I had said earlier, they're the second largest craft brewery by volume in the U.S. after Yingling. But they also, it's not just Boston Beer Company slash Sam Adams. They have a number of subsidiaries. So they own a handful of other breweries that I've never heard of before. But they also in 2019 bought out Dogfish Head, which is also a
Oh,
huge East
right.
Coast brewery. But they also own, which I didn't realize, well, I knew Angry Orchard, Twisted Tea, and Truly are all Boston Beer Company brands. Yeah, I
Really?
had no idea the
I
seltzers
did
were in
not
there
know
too.
that.
So in 2016, they put out the Truly brand, which probably accounts for a whole heck of a lot of their at
Yeah.
this point.
Wow. That was a
Yeah,
good
so
decision, I think.
yeah, so so that was interesting and a fact that I didn't know. I also didn't know that there was a female that was the co-founder of this company, which was kind of cool. And then the other fun fact, so in 2018, Sam Adams booted Budweiser as the official beer of the Boston Red Sox at Fenway. So
Nice.
it's now Sam Adams, and well, it's actually they brewed in 2020, they brewed a Fenway Faithful IPA, but since 2018, Boston Beer Company has ousted Budweiser at Fenway Park, so that was kind of cool too. So
That is
I
kind of
can
cool.
get behind that.
Yeah, you
So
usually see things go in the other direction in the
right,
beer
yeah,
industry.
I was
We,
kind of happy.
yeah, we spoke about it right before we hit record here about how AB InBev has this motivation to buy these breweries because
Hmm.
they're trying to capture something that they don't have. And I think it's interesting. I think that's what makes Boston beer so interesting
Yeah,
is that that's just not the route, that they're interested in going. And I like the idea that they diversify and that they have, as much as I don't drink hard
yeah,
seltzer, like
but it
that's
makes
a
sense as a
genius idea though.
business opportunity to say I want to be in, the different areas, and market to different people who like different things. So they've diversified and obviously did well with it if they're,
Yeah.
as big as they are. So yeah, so that's Boston Beer Company in a nutshell. Most people probably don't even realize that it's not actually Sam Adams Brewery.
Well, I
But
mean, even myself, I'll say I am also to blame for still calling it Sam Adams most of the time, even though I
yeah,
know it's Boston Beer Company.
yeah, no, agreed. I did as well until I kind of looked up some fun facts and I was like, all right, I got to remember they're
You
actually
got to do a
named
good job and
this.
call them by their proper name.
Yes, yes. A lot of people, they, when what is it, Utopias comes out once a
Hmm.
year. That's like their, um, also one of their claim to fames. I didn't really talk about it because most people are not going to get it and not going to drink it, but
Yeah,
um,
mostly because it's just so expensive. I mean,
yeah,
when it comes to availability, I think that Utopias has reached a point where, hypothetically speaking, you could probably get it if you really wanted it,
they had it at Costco. Like you can get
right?
it if you want it.
Yeah,
It's just how many people are going to spend hundreds of
but
dollars
it's
on
over
one
$200
thing of
for a
beer.
bottle.
So yeah,
Yeah, and
to me
it's
that's crazy.
it's
So.
crazy. Over $200 is crazy. I have a hard
Mhm.
time spending $20 on a 4 pack.
Right? Yeah, I'm certainly not going to go out of my way
So
to spend over 200 on something, yeah, on one thing. So anyway, so that's
yeah.
another one of their, their claim to fames, but yeah, they're one of really the founding craft beer, breweries in the US realistically. So,
Hmm.
and one of the few that, like I said, has not sold to a larger conglomerate yet. So kind of cool, at least not yet.
Sold
We shall
out,
see.
if you will.
Sold out
Sold
if you will.
out.
I think Jim's in his 70s now, so who knows
I
what
mean, I that's up there, man. But if
yeah,
you're doing what you love, I guess there's no age for
yeah.
retirement if you
Yeah,
don't want to.
and the people who own Dogfish Head are the second largest owners as they when they merged that they
Okay.
got a large share of Boston Beer Company.
Well,
So
that's an appealing possibility. See, I could
mhm,
see merging
mhm,
and that being like lucrative.
yeah.
Whereas obviously versus like just being purchased by another company, you know, where you're kind of just walking away at that point.
Yep. No.
So
they did benefit. They did get something out of the merger, so it wasn't just a clear buyout. So that was interesting. But yeah, all right. So I'm gonna drink a little bit more of this, and then let's talk about our topic for the night.
Yeah. So you know, the perfect business plan is to have somebody buy you out or give
you
you a
have
bunch
some
of money
disposable
going.
income. Yep.
And we're gonna narrow that down to just the perfect day instead of the perfect business plan. We'll talk about the perfect day. You know, Lauren and I kind of came up with this topic because Mother's Day was approaching. And so now we're a couple of days post Mother's Day. Maybe that helped us come up with more ideas. But we were like, well, you know, what's the perfect day off? Not the perfect Mother's Day, because obviously Mother's Day is not just about yourself. Even if you are a mother, you know, you have a mother, or you're celebrating somebody who plays the motherly role in your life or something like that. But this is a selfish episode. This is about number one here, you guys. This isn't about everybody else. This is about me. And we're going to talk about what the perfect day for each of us would be. And we're going to focus on that for a few minutes. I think that's good. It's been a long couple weeks.
Right. It has totally been a long couple weeks. Get people to think about, what would you do if you got to choose?
Yeah. And I mean, you know, someday, not today, but someday we're going to talk about self-care. I'm sure that's going to come up. And that's only kind of a small part of what we're going to talk about today, because obviously self-care is great. And I, by all means, wish that I had more of it.
I think we all do. Yeah.
Just like 5 more minutes in the bathroom a day would probably be great, but
with uninterrupted. Make sure you add that.
Uninterrupted
factor.
Bathroom time would
be
like huge. But we're gonna keep this light, and we're gonna talk about all the fun, wonderful things that we would do on a perfect day off, with kids, without kids, with your family, like whatever that might be. So like. I know, Lauren, you went the route of asking your kids what would be on their perfect day off. And I'd really like to hear, some of that. Yeah, let me hear what they had to say.
I asked the twins what they would want. And they're very similar in how they would spend their day. But my boy twin said he'd start with donuts for breakfast. That was key on his list. He would play some video games. He would have pizza for lunch. At some point, he wants to go bowling.
What is it about these kids in bowling? It's like all my kids want to do.
I have literally no idea. I have no clue. They couldn't decide if they could fit in a Six Flags trip. So I feel like that would have been a little much.
Bowling.
So instead, they went with, after pizza and bowling, they want to do a camping night in the backyard with a water balloon fight and a movie with all their friends in our backyard.
Oh man, so that is doable though.
My daughter flipped video games for roller skating and pizza for McDonald's, but otherwise generally it was about the same. So but she wanted ice cream for breakfast. Also, not donuts, ice cream for breakfast.
That's a pretty good perfect day.
I was like, this actually sounds like a pretty good day, right?
I would take that day. I would take that. I could eat a donut and then go bowling. I like bowling.
Donuts, ice cream, pizza, bowling, movie, like all of those things are fine. I'm good with those things.
I don't personally want to sleep in the backyard.
But I mean, I'd sleep in my camper. It has air conditioning.
Well, sure, that's fine. But would I maybe get a nice hotel room, which is on the same
it's just not sleeping
level
at home
where you're away from home, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. I started to think about, initially when we were talking about this topic, what would have been the perfect day for me as a child. When I was growing up, my parents owned a house in Galena, Illinois, which is like northwestern Illinois, like the corner of Illinois. And I used to love going there. I know you joined me at least a couple times out there growing up. I used to love going there. And the funny thing is that the activities and the things that we did when we were out there were like not things I ever did at home.
Normally, right? Yep.
I took horseback riding lessons all the time, and we would go out there every 3 weeks. We would go out there for a weekend. So I took a lot of horseback riding lessons. We would go swimming, which I didn't grow up with a pool. I enjoyed swimming. We used to go to the Worth pool a lot.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And I swam at your house growing up, fairly often as well. But I didn't personally have a pool. So like when we would go to Galena, we would go swim. And so for me as a kid, I think the perfect day would have been horseback riding and swimming. And that would have done it for me.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. I would still probably be happy doing those things. Although I think as an adult, and I'm sure you're going to kind of come to a similar conclusion, although I could 100% be wrong about this. A lot of our activities on the perfect day are more relaxing than physical.
I would agree. I would still be okay with like sitting by the pool. I do still enjoy that, but not with children.
Yeah.
Because then you have to like pay attention and
you have to keep people from drowning.
Yeah.
Which
and
is
so
key.
It's a nice relaxing time if I can sit by my pool without small people around. So
yeah. So I kind of made a list.
Horseback riding, I feel like, is just too much effort at this point.
Yeah, no. Well, and the thing about horseback riding, I will say, is that if the temperature outside is not right, it is not an enjoyable activity.
Yeah.
Because if it's too hot, obviously it's going to be misery because you're just like sitting in the sun.
Yeah, no.
And if it's cold, you're going to be like even colder because you're like riding through the wind, right?
Yeah.
So
agreed.
The optimal temperature for horseback riding is very specific, I think.
I think that's fair.
In my opinion.
No, I think you're probably right.
So as an adult, if I'm not going to be horseback riding, I guess I do enjoy, you said it already, sitting by the pool. I enjoy just sitting outside on a nice day, having a beer or two. A hot tub could be there, doesn't have to be there, but a hot tub could be around. I would accept that.
Yeah, hot tubs for me are like, I like them, but I get too hot.
Yeah, you don't want to be in it too long.
They're very temporary. That was not on my list because of that, because I know myself that I'm like, I'd get in.
That's very reasonable.
And then I'd get out, and that would be it. So.
See, that's kind of how I feel about swimming pools. And I know when you mentioned like taking a dip in the pool, you wouldn't necessarily swim all day, but like I get cold in the pool. So like I enjoy getting in a pool, especially if it's hot or I've been doing something that's made me hot. But like
these are all very temperature specific activities.
Well, as I said at the beginning, I mean, relaxing is all about optimal, and if it's not, a temperature is a big thing for me. I always joke with people that if you ever have to like torture information out of me, the way to do it is to just raise the temperature in the room that I am in, because I will say and do anything to get out of there. If you're just like, tell us your passwords, and I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that, and then you like crank it up to like, let's say 80 plus, I will immediately tell you everything you need to know. And I know I just said that like on the internet, if you will,
right? But I mean, but what do you really have to like?
That's the reality. Okay, you guys, you could threaten me, you can do all these other things, and that might not work. But if you raise the temperature in the room and you don't let me out, I will do anything to get out of there.
All right, got it. Note to self: if I ever need to negotiate anything out of you,
that's the way. That's the key. Okay, absolutely. The key.
Okay, so what would you do on your perfect day off?
Yeah,
other than temperature controlled.
Let's say it's 72 degrees outside, and then I'll list all of the things that I would do.
Okay, I like it.
So I'm a big movie fan, and I like to watch movies that are my favorites. You and I did the movie episode, and I would probably watch a favorite movie, not necessarily a new movie, just something that I know and love, like The Princess Bride.
I think I would say on my day off, I don't think I would do much new, because if it's new, then you don't know.
If you don't love it.
Exactly. So if you're trying to have like an overall like fabulous day, I feel like you need to have expectations, and something new, you could go either way. So I feel like that's a risk. So I would definitely agree with something I love I would participate in. Yeah.
Yeah. So to stay in the vein of like most of my examples so far are things that I would like probably want another adult around,
Mhm.
sitting in the hot tub or having a beer, or watching a movie or so like to kind of stay in that
Mhm.
vein, I would say if I was with another adult, whether it's my husband or a friend or whatever, I would also like to go out to a restaurant
Mhm.
and have a good meal. Same deal
Mm.
though. I would go somewhere that I already know and love,
Yep.
and I would probably order something that I know I will love.
Yep. Yeah.
And I love going out to eat.
Oh
I
yeah. That's
enjoy that
something that we
experience.
do on a very
Yeah.
regular basis
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Now, if I was alone, the
Mm.
perfect day alone,
Mm.
I would do some reading. I've been reading more now. I know you love to
Same. I
read.
do love to read. Yeah.
I went through a very, very long period of time where I was not reading anything, just
Mm.
like ever. I don't know. I
Yeah.
was not sleeping well. And so the idea of like picking up a
Oh,
book and reading was just like, I'll just fall asleep. Like
totally
in my
wasn't
head,
desirable. Yeah.
I was like, why would I read? I won't absorb it. I will just
Mm.
doze off.
Mhm.
And then I had some activities my kids were in where there was times where I was just sitting. My son's karate class is at the park district and the Wi-Fi is terrible.
Oh.
And
So you're like,
so
how do I entertain myself?
I'm like, I can't just scroll the internet. Well, I guess I could read. And I started reading, and I've been reading quite a bit
Nice.
doing that. For a time, he was taking 2 classes a week. And so I
Mhm.
was sitting for 2 hours a week, just minimum
Yeah.
at this class, pretty much just reading the whole time. And it was great. And so I would definitely just like sit comfortably and read for a while. It's just peaceful and quiet,
Mhm.
in my pajamas, like something like
Yeah.
that would be great. You and I have both talked about how much we enjoy researching or planning vacations.
Oh my God, yeah.
That would be a part of my perfect day off. I
Oh,
would
okay.
probably plan part of a vacation, even if it wasn't the vacation I'm going on next. I would be like, where do
Sure.
I want to go someday? And then I would just like learn and read about that, an
That's part of
experience.
my favorite. That's like one of my favorite parts of going on vacations is like learning about the places we're going and trying to figure out what's there that I want to see and all of that fun stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely
so
for me as
yeah,
well. And so I think that when it comes to the perfect day, I think it would inevitably be a part of
it
it.
would be
Like
part of it. Yeah,
I
no,
would
that's
be
fair.
asking myself, what do I want to do now? And eventually I would be like, I've always wanted to go to Disneyland. And then I would
Mhm.
just like
Well, let's look.
plan a trip to
Yeah.
Disneyland
I've
for
already
no
started
reason.
planning our spring break for next year. That is like a year away.
Me
So
too.
yeah.
Me too. I have
So
also done that. I will have to
yeah,
share.
we
We
will
want to go on a
share.
train ride.
Oh, that's on our list of things. Not this time. We're gonna do Arizona, Grand Canyon,
Ah,
and Scottsdale. But
oh,
anyways, that'll be
nice.
it for another episode. My,
Yes, we will
I
get to that.
yes, I've kind of incorporated both the like alone time and not alone time into like what my perfect day would look like, but
Okay.
also like details. So like no alarms. There are no alarms
Mm-hmm.
set at all. Like starting my day. What would be ideal is if breakfast and coffee were already made for me and I didn't have to do any of that.
I do like
So,
that.
like, I don't want to have to cook or organize or clean or do anything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I had like a magical genie that would just make it for me and I
Yes.
don't have to do it, I would love that because I would just wake up and eat something and have a cup of coffee and read a book in bed. And like, that's how I would love to start my day.
Oof,
It
that does
sounds
sound really good.
amazing to me. So
I do like
that
that. Yeah.
that's the beginning of my perfect day off.
I mean,
Um,
the idea of having meals provided to me is really kind of like the
right?
cherry on top of the sundae when it comes to like my restaurant idea is really
Yeah.
good and I would love to go
Oh,
out for a
for
meal.
sure.
But the
Yes.
idea of like somebody just like serving me even
Hmm.
just the cup of coffee,
Yeah.
oh, that
Yeah.
sounds amazing.
I wouldn't even like I would love like so that would be how I would start is somebody
Mhm.
provides me with some sort of snack and coffee and then I can just read my book in peace. But I thoroughly enjoy day drinking because I'm
Oh
old
yeah.
and I don't like to do it at night anymore. So I
Yes.
prefer so my afternoon would be like spending some sort of time either at a restaurant, on a patio, out in the sun, drinking and having like food with my friends. That
Yeah.
would be like how I would love to spend my afternoon. So wherever that is, it would probably be a place I've been before that has good drinks and good food, and we would just enjoy the afternoon doing that. And it would have to be sunny and
Right.
I would,
Optimal
you know,
temperature.
optimal temperature, not too hot, not too cold,
Right.
and we would have drinks and food, and that's how I would spend my afternoon. Now, I do like some sort of activity at some point, and whether it's a movie or whether it's like mini golf or like if we're near the water, like go on a boat ride, like some sort of activity, not like active, like I'm not gonna go run or anything, but like some
Right.
sort of activity to do in a social setting would
Sure.
also be part of my day. Um, I would also say like I'm a night owl, but not like out doing stuff anymore. Like I would happily end my day with like drinks and sitting out on the patio, just like relaxing. Like not
Yeah.
too worked up, not too much anxiety, just like calm, relaxing. I feel like that's the literally overarching theme of all this is just spending a relaxing
A low
day.
key day. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
and like you mentioned, a similar, relaxing on the
Mhm.
patio, hanging out, having a
Yeah.
couple of drinks, and like my feelings on like the whole sit outside and have a beer or maybe sit in the hot
Hmm.
tub and have a drink or
Hmm.
whatever, doing that activity at like sunset
Oh,
slash
perfect.
slightly later
Yeah.
makes it even better for me.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I love that time of day. I
It's like my
love that point.
favorite. Agreed. Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
When
Yeah.
it's evening but not night,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
perfect.
The
You're not
golden
tired
hour that,
yet, even if
yes.
it's been a long day, your body is not ready to go to sleep,
Yeah.
but it's evening. And like I
Hmm.
just find nighttime or evening time or sunset time, if you will,
Hmm.
just to be like a beautiful time of day.
Yeah.
Just all
Oh,
the
I
way around.
totally agree. Yeah. Well, and my children will tell you, like, I will drive out of my way to view a beautiful sunset because I
Yeah.
just really enjoy the ambiance of that. So, like, being somewhere that I can have a drink and sit and
Hmm.
chat and enjoy a sunset would, like, just be the perfect way to wrap up, like, a day off
That's great.
to me.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
all of those
Absolutely.
things at some point, and I get pieces of that at some points, but that all together would make for a perfect day. So
Yeah.
we shall see. I turned 40 on a Saturday this year, so it's possible that some of those things can be
Can
incorporated
happen on that day.
into that. Now there will also be probably children around. So, but if I have my husband around, he can just watch them. So
Also a plus.
this
Yes, that
is
is also part of this plan.
yes. Yes, and I don't want to spend I'm not a loner in that I want to spend an entire day by myself. Like, do
Hmm.
I like pockets of time by myself? Sure. I like the peace and quiet and I love to read a book. Like I would sit and, drink my coffee and read a book, but I also really enjoy socializing with people.
Yeah, me
So
too.
my perfect day would not be a day by myself. I would
Yeah.
like to do some things as a group or with a handful of people that I enjoy my time with. Now, I would be selective in that. There are definitely people I don't want to see on my day off.
Right.
So, like,
That's
um,
totally reasonable.
but there are also people that I would enjoy spending time with, and I do enjoy spending time with. So that's how I would prefer. And some people are the opposite. Some people are homebodies and would just imagine their perfect day would be an uninterrupted day of peace and quiet by themselves. And that's
Yeah.
totally fine too. It's just not necessarily my cup of tea to be by myself for long periods of time.
I think I feel very close to the same way.
Mhm.
I enjoy moments of alone time. I like just sitting and being solo at times. Like you
Mhm.
said, pockets of time.
Yeah.
But I don't want to spend an entire day by myself. I would not enjoy that. I would reach a point where eventually I would just be like, well, I guess I'm going to go run some errands. Like I would
I
eventually,
totally would. I would just leave the house to go like see people
yeah,
or something. Yeah. I
yeah,
would
I would have
find
to.
someone or
Deviate.
something. Yeah. And I thought about that actually, because like I sometimes do have a Friday off, very rarely with nothing to do. But even
Mhm.
when I do, I'm like, okay, I need to get out of the house at some
Right.
point throughout the day. Like I'm not one to just want to sit at home all day long at all. I need to get out and do something at some point. So definitely that would be part of my day. Even my children now are like that. Like they don't like spending an entire day just home, not
Yeah,
getting out of the
mine
house.
too. And my kids will definitely tell you that their perfect day would involve just playing video games all day. But even, I mean, like, but when push comes to shove, when that,
Mhm.
if that day were to arrive where I was like, okay, you can do whatever you want
Sure.
all day long, they would start out playing video games
Mhm.
and then they would come to me at some point and they would be like, I want to do something. What do you want to do? Can we go
Yep.
outside and play soccer? Can we go to the park? Can we call this friend? Can we
Yep.
go somewhere or whatever? And that would happen.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. Because, like I said, I can
Mhm.
sit and I can read and I can research vacations and I can,
Right. Spend
but
some, again, pockets of time by yourself, but at some
yeah,
point you're going to be like, okay, I want human interaction now.
yeah,
Now, my husband might be fine all day by himself. Like,
yeah.
he's gone on vacations. He rode his motorcycle around Lake Michigan by himself for like 2.5, 3 days.
Wow.
And that was his vacation. Literally, the only people he interacted with were probably like waitresses and like
Right.
that was it, and whatever he stopped at the gas station or the hotel. But that was his literal vacation, was just he's gone on a motorcycle trip by himself almost every year for the last few years.
Oh, wow.
And just like it wasn't always planned by himself. Sometimes his friends' bikes broke down and they couldn't
Oh,
go on, but he definitely has taken solo vacations all on his own with no one else
mm,
with him and has been totally fine with it. Now, I could do that if I had like maybe like a plan or tours, but like I still feel like I'd want to interact with somebody. Like I don't think
yeah.
I would enjoy that nearly as much. Like I would, even if I took like one other person, but I don't think I would like a solo vacation totally solo.
Yeah, I need to share my experiences.
Hmm.
I just like I
Yeah.
can't eat meals alone for too long. Like
Hmm.
and that's just an example, of course, but
Yeah.
like I could go and sit and have like go to the breakfast restaurant by my house and
Oh
have
yeah.
coffee and breakfast and enjoy that meal. Maybe
Hmm.
even read a little bit while I'm there or
Yeah.
something like that. Or bring my laptop and
Sure.
do some
But
work
not for
or
like
look for
an
something.
extended period of
But
time. I
yeah,
wouldn't do.
I couldn't I wouldn't plan a trip that way because for me, I would reach day 2 and kind of be like, this is boring.
Yep. Yeah. Or I'd want someone to talk to. Like I'd
Yeah.
want someone
Also
to
that I would probably be on my
interact
phone.
with, right? Like I'd want I mean, I will say since he's on his motorcycle the majority of the time, he doesn't talk, he's not like talking to anyone no matter what, even if he was riding with somebody else.
Right.
So, but once you get to like a place in a restaurant or you're like
Yeah.
touristy stuff, I feel like I would want someone to do that stuff with. So anyways, different strokes for different folks, you know.
Yeah.
But
I did also give some thought to, well, what would the perfect day with my children be
okay.
like? Because, they do live with me.
Yes.
So I have to
Can't
come up
really
with
get rid of them. So
an idea. Yeah, there has to be an idea of what would I do if I wanted to have the perfect day with them.
Mhm.
My husband and I haven't done a ton of this obviously because the weather has been terrible for like forever.
Right.
But now that things are turning around, we've been talking a lot more about going on just like nature walks,
Yeah.
going to the forest preserve, just going on a nice walk or the arboretum or the even the zoo, like
Mhm.
just taking them somewhere where you basically are just kind of like walking around and enjoying each other's company. My
Yeah.
kids really like that.
Yeah.
We do versions of that all the time on
Mhm.
vacation, around home, for a day off, things like that. And it's always very enjoyable. It's a bit
Yeah.
of a fight getting the kids to physically leave the house to go
But
for a
once they
walk.
do, yeah. We used to go on nature walks a ton when my kids were younger and didn't have like a million activities.
Hmm.
But I do like we would even just go to like Pilcher Parks in Joliet and they have a nice little like they've got a little building that has like some animals in it, but then you just walk around and
Nice.
just pleasant. Or we would go to, there's a park by us that has some cool like trails and stuff, and we definitely like really enjoyed that. You're right, the weather has been crap.
Yeah.
It's like at work today we had just a like social catch up chat, and we were like, so there's two seasons. It's summer and winter because it's either just snow or it's 87 degrees out,
I
and
know,
that's it. And
right?
we've completely bypassed spring and fall. They're just gone now.
Yeah.
Like you get one day of each, and that's it.
I did
So,
not enjoy the one day of spring enough. So
right?
I just want you
Yeah.
guys to know that there was a day, I think it was last weekend, I don't remember,
Like
where it
one
was like
where it wasn't
really,
raining and it was
yeah,
only like 67 degrees, so it wasn't too warm, but it wasn't cold.
yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That's all you get. Now it's going to be 85 degrees next week.
Now it's
So,
like 90. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
gonna
it's
be
hot.
like
It was
90.
hot today. My house was hot, like actually
Yes,
hot.
yes.
Yes,
I
I did not like it.
picked my kids up from school and
Hmm.
I was just like walking from the car to the school and then from the school to my car. And I was just like, why is it so hot outside?
It's like muggy already. I'm
What
like,
happened?
I don't understand. Yeah. All right. So I'm
So
gonna,
yeah,
yeah.
I think that was a great list of the perfect day activities and all very achievable. And I
Yes.
think you and I could spend some of these perfect days together because
I
we have a
think
lot
we
of
could.
overlap.
Yeah, I think we could. Even the ones with the children, I feel like
Yeah,
we could. So,
definitely. I think they would
yeah.
all, I will also say that, and your kids I know enjoy this as well because we
Mhm,
share this activity with them. Just watching a movie with my
mhm.
kids is a great perfect day activity.
Yeah,
I love going to a movie or watching a movie with them. It's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
It's
Our kids
easy,
like
it's
that too.
social, but
Hmm.
it's relaxing and enjoyable.
Yep, yep. I agree. There's lots of fun activities that we could spend, and maybe I'll get some of my perfect day at some point
Yeah,
soon.
let's
So,
cross our fingers for that 40th birthday Saturday.
right, that's
See
my
what
hope.
happens.
All right, let's open Beach Session IPA.
Beach Session IPA, which I
Mhm.
misread as peach, as in the
Well,
fruit,
it is
because
peach colored
the
in
label is peach.
yeah.
And so I find it intentionally confusing. I'm just going to put it out there.
It says crisp and tropical.
Before
Oh,
we drink this, I just want to very quickly mention that when I was in college, Boston Beer came out with a beer called, well, perhaps it didn't come out at this time. It may have existed before then. I'm not sure, but it was called Cherry Wheat.
oh,
And I don't know if you've ever had cherry wheat. I had never had it until I visited my husband at Western and we went to a
oh.
party, the 80s party. Don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah.
And they had cherry wheat. That was the
Huh.
beer that they had. They had bottles of it. I don't think it
Okay.
was a keg. And I
Yeah.
had it. And I thought it tasted like bubble gum that somebody left out in the sun. It was awful.
That
I
is
remember
unfortunate.
I did not like it. I was like, it's like stale gum. And I almost suggested my husband buy cherry wheat as our second beer because I was like,
Just to
I got to give it
see.
another chance.
Yeah.
Maybe I got a bad one.
Yeah, I have not had it, so I do not know, but I feel
Well,
like maybe I might need to give it a try. So
I
I'll
will admit I've never had it since.
well, maybe we need to revisit. Maybe
All
we'll put
right.
a little review to follow up if we
Yes,
try it again.
I will. I can commit to
Okay.
planning to do
All
that.
right. I like it. Let's do
Let's
it.
try not cherry wheat. Let's try beach
And
session
it's
IPA.
not peach. This does not taste like peach
Doesn't
at
smell
all.
like
So
peach.
so I would say it's definitely not peach. It's beach.
Oh no, yeah, this doesn't
Not
taste
even
like
kind
peach at
of.
all. So
No.
my
Yeah, don't.
misunderstanding
Yeah.
was clearly that.
Hmm.
I mean, it's very bitter. I haven't
Yeah.
had an
This
IPA that
is
was this bitter in a
this
long
is not
time.
what I was expecting, and I recognize it says IPA, so I should assume it's an IPA,
That it's
which
gonna
it
be,
is. But
yeah.
I feel like between the name and the color, and it says crisp and tropical, I expected a little bit more citrusy flavor to it, and to me, this is like just a IPA.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't get
don't
the
want to say
crisp.
I don't get it
the
at
tropical.
all, but
The crisp, it tastes crisp. Like that's fair. But the tropical, it's not even like extra, it's not even as citrusy as some IPAs I've had. So like this is just a crisp IPA to me.
yeah, I mean, I keep smelling it, hoping that I'm going to get a little bit more of like
It's
not like
just
an
an IPA.
orangey, but
It's legit just an IPA. Like which is fine. It's what it says it is. It says it's a session IPA, which is accurate, but the tropical it falls off for me.
Yeah. I don't know. I've had a couple more sips now. Maybe it's a little bit milder. My first taste, I was a little shocked, to be honest.
Well, when you go from lager to IPA, it's a significant jump. So like
That's
it's
true.
definitely much more bitter. So it's an IPA. It's not a double. It's a regular IPA, but
Mhm.
I guess the marketing to me, I expected a little bit more
Yeah.
citrusy flavor to it.
Yeah.
Mostly just because it's called Beach Session IPA and it says it's tropical. So I expected
I mean,
something in there to be fitting of that description.
yeah. Well, and forgive me for being judgmental, but why doesn't this have any coconut in it or something?
Like beach. Why is
Like a
what's the
beach.
beach? Like what am I supposed to get beach from in here? Like
So I
again,
think
it's a good IPA. It's not a bad beer. It's not like it's a fine IPA. It's just
Yes.
not living up to what I expected, I guess.
Absolutely. And I would say it's funny because while it's been a very, very long time since I've had Boston Lager, I enjoyed it. It was a very pleasant beer.
Yeah, that was a
And I'm
solid, flavorful lager. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm very pleased with how Boston Lager tastes.
Mhm.
And so I think even more so, I think that made me hope that this IPA was going to be kind of just like generally enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because that's how I felt about Boston Lager. And I don't love it. You're right. It is a very classic IPA.
It's just a classic IPA.
It's a little one-dimensional for me. I think that's the problem. And I don't mean, it doesn't have adjuncts in it. I just mean, like you said, it's not tropical. And there are IPAs that have this citrusy tropical flavor.
Exactly.
And this does not. And I think we thought that was going to happen because of how it is described.
Yes, exactly. And if it was literally just like session IPA, period,
yeah,
like not crisp and tropical as the description,
right?
Then I'd be like, okay, it's just a session IPA.
Fine. Yeah, this is fine. Cool. This is what I expected.
But because it gave me beach, which made me think tropical, and it says tropical, I did expect to have a more citrusy, both aroma and taste, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm really just getting the basic IPA here. So
yep.
I think the marketing deceived me on this one.
Yeah, they got us on this one, you guys.
They did.
Well, you
solid,
learn.
It's a Boston Lager, solid. If you're looking for a lager, you like beer, that's the thing. If you like the taste of beer, but you want a light lager, like Boston Lager is a solid
good way to
option for you. Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's the same as what I remember it tasting whenever eons ago that I had it.
Yeah.
Right. If you're looking for a basic IPA, Beach Session is fine, but don't expect it to be tropical.
No, yeah, no.
So yeah, but well, we tried. It was interesting. Now we gotta try cherry wheat next time.
Yes, I would love that. Yeah.
All right, we'll give that one a try next. So
yeah.
All right, cool. Well, Boston Beer Company. This was a good time.
Yeah, I'm glad that we hit on a big one. It's always nice to go back and visit with these breweries that kind of allowed the environment we have today.
Yeah,
and
they kind of started the domino effect of the 8,000 plus however many craft breweries we got going on now. So
I think we're over 9,000.
I think we probably are. Yeah, I think it was 8 something a couple years ago when we started this.
So I think we're over 9 at this point, which is wonderful.
Wow.
Great. The more the merrier.
Options. There's a beer for everyone out there.
Mhm.
There seriously is. So you just have to find it. So
Yep.
cool.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, you guys, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone for listening to the latest musings from Parenting by the Pint.
Be sure to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to us wherever you find your podcasts.
Have a great week and cheers to you all.